I'm struggle busting today because I went up north for Memorial Weekend, like a lot of Michiganders do. And coming back from vacation is always hard. And I think that for Memorial Weekend, Tuesday should be like a half day starting at noon. But hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the In Michigan podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Redoute, aka that Michigan guy on Instagram, TikTok, Threads. I'm actually starting to post more on Threads because I never liked Twitter, and Threads is kind of like a cleaner, better Twitter in my opinion. So starting to post there more jokes, daily things that I'm going through as a Michigan content creator, but I think you might like it, so go ahead and check that out. Today, I wanted to talk about all things up north, maybe some travel inspiration for you, how I go about planning an up north trip or going on an up north trip, the classic things that come with going up north in Michigan and the specialness of it all, but more to come on that. Like I said, Memorial Weekend just passed. We're in the spring, summer kind of interim seasonal time period where the daytime can get really hot and the nighttime can get cold. So I actually just made this video about a typical day in Michigan because I found myself wearing a sweater or hoodie in the morning. I'm going and driving about and I'm like, oh my gosh, take it off. I'm sweating like crazy. The steering wheel's hot when you get in your car midday around 2 p.m. and then come back at night. You got the windows open again. You're trying to cool down your house. The AC is off. Meanwhile, the AC was on midday. It can all be kind of chaotic. So I wanted to just make a video on that. But it's an interesting time period because it's exciting. Summer's here. The events are just starting off. Movement here in Detroit, which I feel like has become a very big, almost like the Lollapalooza has, in Chicago. I feel like movement has that impact here in Detroit. I mean, it's where techno was born. I feel like movement's just getting a lot of traction. So next year, I think my husband and I plan to just go all out and do the whole movement weekend. I've gone to like after parties and such in the past, but that's the plan, I think. Next on the Michiganders Say What segment, I do want to read a comment from one of you, and I like to do this because most of the comments on my videos end up not being hate or negative in any way, which is awesome. It ends up being kind of constructive, or everyone just kind of sharing what they love about Michigan, sharing their love for the content itself. One of the comments on a recent video of mine of the How Michigander Are You quiz was from Ravenclaw_Giles. I'm actually a Slytherin, according to the Pottermore quiz. But they said, I'm a new Michigander, so I wanted to say welcome. I hope you're enjoying all things Michigan has to offer. And if you're not, stay tuned to my content to see what other things you might want to venture out and do. But so give me a little bit of time. I'm guessing they did not score well on the quiz. But they said that my first correction was that we are Michiganders, not Michiganians. Yes. That was actually, I did a quick little video on it in the past, but we used to be called Michiganians, but then one of the governors, I think it was Rick Snyder, signed it in that we are called Michiganders officially. Fun fact as well, Abraham Lincoln actually coined the term Michigander. It was in a meeting because Michigan had just become a state, because they have this in writing, I believe. I don't know, that's a long time ago. But according to history, it's in writing that he was kind of mocking the new governor of Michigan because it was a newer state. And Abraham Lincoln was like, oh, here comes the great Michigander. And that's where the name actually comes from. So that's a little fun fact. But they said, but pop sounds like a sound you read in a comic book. So clearly they are on the soda bandwagon and not on the Michigan pop bandwagon yet. So Ravenclaw Giles, just give it a couple years. You'll start saying pop. You'll have a little bit of a Michigan accent, and come back to these videos and see where you're at then. I dare you. The Michigan quiz, I think, is pretty fun, and it's pretty well-rounded, because like I said, I read your comments a lot, and I can see kind of where everyone's having a lot of similarities, in addition to ones that I know to be true, so that's kind of all included in the video quiz. Now, getting into up north, I just really wanted to share because up north in Michigan, the energy, the vibe, to me, it is very much a vibe because as we all know, where up north in Michigan officially starts is kind of up to interpretation. I actually did a little video about kind of like how to analyze it, and I've talked about it in this podcast a little bit, but Up north vibe includes a lake, just relaxing, dinners out, dinners cooking barbecue at a big Airbnb or VRBO, or your own cottage or your own cabin, being together with family, close friends, and maybe there's wineries. I don't know. That's what we did. But overall, just the vibe is very homey. It's very comforting. And I've been going up north every single year, multiple times throughout my entire life. We've always been exploring, especially like the upper northwest part of Michigan, and that's where we actually just went as well. But we've explored that part and it's been a lot of fun. When it comes to ways to prepare for going up north, I would say go that route of like booking a VRB or Airbnb if you don't have a cabin yourself. I know a lot of friends that actually just have places up there, small to bigger. As long as you just have a little compound, maybe near a lake or by a lake, I think that's the way to get the up north energy. But VRBO and Airbnb work out really well. You can book things really easily. That's what we just did, and split it between, you know, a handful of friends or family members, and you all get your own rooms. I think it is nicer to have one big shared space when it comes to going up north than having maybe like staying at separate areas or having separate hotel rooms, because there is just something so special about waking up, coffee's brewed because someone woke up early and couldn't sleep and brewed it, and just sitting down in a living room with maybe lake views. There's just something special about having that moment. I've had it with my family and just had it with some friends this past weekend. And so I highly recommend that you go that route of having a shared space. I think that's really important. Plan ahead. So that means maybe getting groceries at a grocery store in a bigger city on your way to going up north, and then splitting the bill. But getting everything first so that you have breakfast, snacks, maybe some easy lunches, because you're probably gonna be spending time outside in the lake, hanging out, distracted. You're not going to want to sit inside and cook a lot. Maybe cook like a group dinner one of the nights, but other nights maybe go out to a local restaurant in the area. But definitely plan ahead for the food. And the tip of going to a bigger city beforehand is really good, because sometimes in these up north lake areas, they don't have convenience stores with any food. So maybe stop at a Myers before, you know, in a bigger city before you head to your smaller city by the lake. Definitely get like Cliff Bars, Luna Bars, apples, eggs, pancakes, bacon. Those are just like easy, quick essentials you can get that anyone kind of likes for breakfast for the most part. In terms of locations and places to go, Lake Charlevoix is a great spot, I think, for up north travel. Frankfort, Michigan is a great spot. Traverse City, Cadillac area, I know a lot of people go to. Up north, we actually stayed in Germfask, I think, which was a really good location by a lake. And it was also only like an hour away from Pictured Rocks, Lakeshore, and Tequamanon Falls. And those are just a couple of handful ones. Port Austin, they have campgrounds. I know a lot of people have cottages up that way. Port Crescent State Park is the campground there that I think is really nice. Just really find a lake and find a cute cottage or cabin that's by it. You can also do the whole like just in the middle of the forest kind of deal. I think just being in the woods by a lake, you can kind of do both. I feel like most people like being by water. Some things to do that are more out the box when you are going up north, I would say in like Traverse City, the wineries. Oh my gosh, if you're of age, the wineries are so beautiful. Like each one you go to has amazing views. They're so fancy feeling. We just did a bunch of wineries too. I don't even drink, and it was nice to go and just sit, have some snacks, hang out with friends, be in the sun, walk around. We had a dog with us. It was nice to walk around because one of the wineries we went to, I think it was called Four Labs, allows for dogs, and you can just kind of hang out and play for the day. So there's a lot of just different little things to do. I would say, obviously when the weather's warmer, you can also do like boat rentals, jet ski rentals, tubing, just going out on a pontoon and really relaxing out in the middle of a lake, fishing. There's so many different options to try, but at the base of it, just getting away in general and going up north, I think is a win, because you can decompress. Maybe for us southeast Michigan people that are around Detroit, it's really nice to just go out into more nature-filled areas and let your thoughts and stress kind of float away. And I remember distinctly this past weekend driving back, it was kind of hard to go from, this beautiful lake view to city life. I love Detroit and I love everything that the city brings, but I'm a nature person. I'm very 50-50 nature and city, but I think Michigan is a beautiful state for that because it does offer that exact, even only driving an hour away, hour and a half, I can get to this more cottagey, cabiny lake energy. So I think that's why I love living in Michigan so much. I really feel if you don't have an up north trip planned at all this summer, also they can be pretty cheap. That's what I really like about it is you don't end up spending a ton like you would maybe going on like a trip where you're flying somewhere. I highly recommend booking something for the summer because again, I think it's the best way to enjoy Michigan summer. The weather here is amazing. Lake life is the best life. And overall, I highly recommend checking out some of those places I listed off earlier. And if you don't know where to go, feel free to shoot me a message. And other than that, feel free to leave a review on this podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify if you like it. And if you don't, shoot me a message on things that you want to improve or ideas for episodes that you want. I'm planning to have some more guests on, which will be nice. And be sure to follow me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Threads. Oh my gosh, it's getting to be so much. But I have a plethora of content to share on all those depending on what you use. And also, I will see you all, Mish, again.